Good evening, Dolphins fans. Welcome to another episode of On the Fin Side with Kat and Paul. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all of our social media outlets, the finfanatic.com website, as well as the Fansided network as well. I'm Brian Cat NFL on Twitter. Paul is fanatic_pick. The Dolphins lose in extravagant fashion today to the Raiders in really took 5 quarters to do. I mean, they lose at the end of overtime, 31-28. And what a shame. I mean, what else can you say here? I mean, the Dolphins start out the game up 14-0, 10 minutes into the game, and getting the ball in the second half. But that didn't result in a win here, Paul.
No, it didn't. And you know what? I know we talked about it briefly off the air. Let's just dive into that 5 wide on the disgustingness.
Yes, let's. So
let's just start right there.
Okay, so the Dolphins are up 14-0, a pick 6 by Landon Roberts, and they also a 24-yard touchdown run by Malcolm Brown, which was perfectly blocked. Good for the Dolphins offensive line for showing the ability to run downhill in this game. So the Dolphins get the ball back on the 1-yard line. Raiders pin them back deep. And they go 5 wide at the 1-yard line with Jacoby Brissett behind a historically bad offensive line. And they throw a bubble screen to Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle gets tackled in the end zone. It's now 14-2. The Raiders get the ball back. It's 14-5 after they get a field goal. And from that point on, the Raiders keep going on and on, steamrolling. Derek Carr finishes the day with 386 passing yards. I mean, I can't help but think, Paul, if not for that play call, how would this game have turned out?
Well, let's knock down what's wrong with that 5 wide play. 1, the Dolphins finished the day averaging 4.9 yards per carry running the ball. Like, you should have pounded that rock early and often with that going, especially with your back in the end zone. That's 1. 2, that play call was horrific, period. Like, you don't go 5 wide with your butt in the end zone. 3, I'm going to put a little bit on Jacoby Brissett there, because when you're that quarterback, you have to see that corner didn't bite a bit and didn't even drop back a step. He just literally read it right off the snap. You need to turn your head, cock back to throw, and go, ooh, crap. And if you have to, turn and run straight at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean,
Jalen Waddle needs to recognize the fact that guy didn't bite and literally just bat the ball backwards. Don't even catch it. Just freaking swat it out of the end zone. Like, you don't catch that ball there when you see that happen. I'm sorry, you don't.
Jacoby Brissett, for the veteran that he is, should have at least taken the snap and then tucked the ball down and ran and just gotten a yard or two. That's it. That's all he had to do.
Done a Cutler impression and thrown it into the 5th row of the stands because he didn't like the way the play looked.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, shame. And so basically, after the Dolphins go up 14-0, they don't score a point until the 4th quarter. And Jacoby Brissett had at the beginning of the 4th quarter 70-something yards passing, which was incredible. And then in the 4th quarter, we find out that Jacoby Brissett can throw the ball deep, and it's not a surprise. He has great size. He can evade pressure, and he can throw the ball downfield. Do that more often, Jacoby Brissett, because if he did that, then maybe we'd be talking about something different here too. That pass that should have been a pass interference at the end of the game to Will Fuller.
Yeah.
Great throw. Throw that pass more often. And if that happens, maybe Jalen Waddle won't finish the game with 12 catches for 58 yards.
You make it sound like it was similar to the pass late in the game to Devontae Parker that should have been pass interference. It was good coverage, but, you hooked an arm and you pushed the other arm, like before the ball. And he was literally, the ball was right on target. So, yeah, I mean, it's not like Miami has a bunch of sub 4.4 speed wide receivers out there. I mean, God, you think they had Devontae Parker, Will Fuller, Albert Wilson, Jakeem Grant, maybe some tight end that can run and high point a ball. Yeah, their longest play of the day came in overtime on a 22-yard completion to Mike Kasich.
Yeah, Mike Kasich finishes the game with 10 catches for 86 yards, and he had a great day. And amazingly, too, and one of the most frustrating throws to see, also one of the most encouraging throws to see from Brissett, is when it was 4th and 20. Jacoby Brissett drops back, and it's just an amazing pass. He just drops a dime to Mike Kasich. Perfectly threaded, 27-yard game with the game on the line. Do that more early in the game. I mean, I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel like having two offensive coordinators is like having no offensive coordinators.
Yeah, do you remember? I don't know if you've. I don't know if you remember the movie back in the 80s, 3 Men and a Baby.
You forget how old I am, Kat. I remember it well. That was the one with the guy in the closet there, and that one still shot that everyone's like, "Ooh," for years.
Yeah. Basically, 3 men can't take accountability for this baby, and that's kind of the same thing. It's George Godsey, it's Charlie Fry, and it's Eric Studsville. What's going on here? I'm just looking over in this game. Oh, and the Packers win the game 30-28 over the 49ers. Just kicked the game-winning field goal.
How about that Justin Tucker field goal, by the way?
Yeah, 66 yards today. Game-winning field goal. It should have taken that to beat the Lions, but any win you can get today in the NFL is certainly worth it. But going back to what you said before is, the Dolphins had 20 carries for 96 yards at running back today. Do you think maybe they should use Malcolm Brown more running downhill?
Nah.
No.
That'd be like saying, Myles Gaskin, who averaged, 5 yards a carry today, should have touched the ball a few more times than 13. Come on. Why would you think that?
What I'm starting to see with Myles Gaskin, though, is either he gets 1 yard or he gets 15. And maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing with how few big plays that the Dolphins are getting on offense. Will Fuller got his feet wet today, 3 catches for 20 yards. And again, he got deep on that play, and it should have been a pass interference call late in the game. It was good to see him back on the field.
It was, absolutely.
On the offensive line, of course, the culprit we're going to talk about is Austin Jackson. Didn't have his worst game. It's not saying much. He didn't have his worst game. But in overtime, he was absolutely walked back to the quarterback on a 3rd and 10 and had a holding call. Malcolm Brown was also flagged or was also walked back to the quarterback with Austin Jackson. I guess it's a better game from him, but that's really all I can say right now about Austin Jackson.
Until he proves otherwise, he is going to forever be referred to by me as Trash Can Jackson until he steps it up at this point.
Trash Can Jackson. I like that.
You know me and nicknames, they stick. They absolutely stick. I'm still talking about the damn Penguin years later.
On the defensive side of the ball, shame on this defensive line and shame on this front seven, because Peyton Barber, who is a nobody, 23 carries, 111 yards. And it seemed like every time that a Raiders offensive player touched the ball, they got 5, 6, 7 yards. And that's unacceptable for this Brian Flores defense. Look, they got rid of Shaq Lawson. They got rid of Bernard McKinney. They got rid of Kyle Van Noy. There are no excuses in this type of game for being able to just be gashed for these big chunk plays every play.
I didn't have a huge problem with Christian Wilkins or Zach Sealer today.
I agree.
Anyone else on that D line? I hate to put it bluntly like that, but and not for nothing, like I hated, and I saw this a few times today, where the Raiders would split Kenyon Drake out all the way to the sideline, and you see Jerome Baker over there in coverage, man to man. I hated that. Jerome Baker's skill set needs to have him somewhere between the hash marks on every play. Putting him out wide,
100% agree with that.
It's putting him out wide is a schematic failure. Like, put Javon Holland on Kenyon Drake, put freaking Brandon Jones on Kenyon Drake, put Jason McCourty on Kenyon Drake. Don't put what's his face?
Yeah, Baker should be patrolling the middle of the field, and he had a rough game because the Raiders offensively got him off his spot pretty much every play. And speaking of Brandon Jones had 2 sacks today, but he allowed a lot more plays against him compared with those 2 sacks. I mean, those 2 sacks, good plays, but that's it. I mean, and this Dolphins defense can't be one that has you have too many. You're starting to see too many Landon Roberts and too many Brandon Jones types of performances where they're hit and miss types of players, and you see a lot more misses than hits right now.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about at length since Landon Roberts got here. I know I've referred to him as the Terrell Buckley of the linebacking core, and I still hold true. His spectacular plays are nothing short of spectacular. He guesses a lot, and when he guesses right, it's a home run. But the 3 to 5 plays in between guessing right are horrific. Absolutely horrific. You see a linebacker out of place. I mean, yes, he got that touchdown today, so I won't bash him too heavily here, but we need to remind ourselves he's still a Landon Roberts. I mean, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and also, too, to be fair, a Landon Roberts getting a pick 6 against Derek Carr, who doesn't throw a lot of interceptions early in the game, that should be a game-changing play. And it should be a play that makes the difference in whether or not you win or lose. And it should have. And it didn't, unfortunately. So
could be worse. We could be Jets fans today.
How bad they lose?
I believe it was 26-0.
I was so into the Dolphins game, and then had to take care of my son after that.
Zach Wilson, quarterback messiah.
That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah, I think they should really stick with him for the next 5 years.
No, he's a rookie. I mean,
dude, I have never seen a game like last week with a bad Patriots team that got pasted by the Saints today, where literally in the second quarter of a game, the quarterback had more completions to the opponent than he did to his own team.
Yeah. Mac Jones did not have a good day today.
Yeah,
no doubt about that. Going back to the Dolphins here, got to say too, Jalen Phillips needs to pick it up because he did not make an impact today, and I still really like him as a player. But you take a look at Owe for the Ravens getting defensive player of the week last week. Gregory Rousseau going up against the Dolphins and getting 2 sacks. Jalen Phillips needs to make more of an impact here as we can continue to go forward. And I think he will. He's one player that hasn't really proved himself yet that I think he actually will for the Dolphins.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even say he needs to make a bigger impact. He needs to make an impact before we can say bigger.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And Zach Sealer, player I like more and more every single week. I mean, he pushes the pocket. He's big. Like that play today, I mean, he made that. You talk about big plays on defense. With the Landon Roberts with that pick six. The next drive, Zach Sealer just burrows through the offensive line and takes down the ball carrier on a 4th and 1. And that's what set up the Dolphins to go up 14-0. That is a big time play. And Zach Sealer is not only somebody who makes big plays, and he doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of them, but when he's also consistent down to down too. You never talk about, well, Zach Sealer just didn't show up today.
Dude, Zach Sealer is built like Sully from Monsters, Inc., and he's the guy that he's your most reliable all-around defensive lineman. I love when I see, and I can't wait to see it again, Raekwon Davis and Zach Sealer on the same defensive line play in and play out. He's on the field. He's making an impact, even if it's just occupying blockers on some plays. But he typically, you see Sealer consistently beat double teams and occasionally a triple team with a running back involved. He just, you can't stop that guy. And yes, he's not making any of those blow through and chase the guy 50 yards from behind plays, but that's not who he is or what his role is. His role is to exceed at the line of scrimmage, beat and take on double teams, keep the linebackers free, and make plays. And he does all of those things, and he has since he's gotten to Miami. I remember him getting less snaps than Jalen Phillips is getting now as an undrafted guy that bounced from a couple of teams, and he was making an impact, and he was commanding to be on that field. And that's what I want to see from Jalen Phillips here. It's you look at Jalen Phillips in more snaps than Zach Sealer got when he first got to Miami, and Zach Sealer had more impact plays, and the more plays he gets, the more impact plays that we see from him. He needs to be on that field more.
Yeah, and when you look at the Dolphins rookies here, the first-round picks, Jalen Waddle, I'll say this, it's not his fault that the quarterback situation is so bad right now. It's not. I mean, he was targeted 13 times today. He caught 12 passes. They were for 58 yards, but somebody called him on my Twitter feed a Jalen Landry because he caught 12 passes for 58 yards today. I mean, that makes somewhat sense. And yeah, Jalen Phillips needs to make a little bit more of an impact, but I still see the talent there.
We need more impact from the Jalens.
Yes, we do. That's a good way to put it.
And Waddle gets a little too cute at times after the catch. It's, he'll sit there and dance in place in a way that would work against some inferior college programs, but it doesn't work against NFL players most of the time. It really doesn't. It's sometimes you just have to cut up the field and take what's there, and maybe you get more, maybe you don't.
And he's also not – he hasn't gotten in space as much as he otherwise would with a different offense. I mean, if he were on 10 or 12 different teams right now, I think this guy would be a star already. And that's what the shame of it is. I can't believe they threw that freaking pass to him. It's 14-0. The Dolphins are winning, and they get the ball at halftime. You're backed up at your 1 yard line, and you throw the ball 4 yards deep into your end zone. Unprecedented. But
shades of Wanstead.
Oh, it's worse than Wanstead.
Nothing is worse than Wanstead.
I'll conversation for another day. But I thought Wanstead was an underrated coach. Moving on.
Growing a sweet Burt Reynolds Tom Selleck mustache.
Yeah, no,
check. Everything else, no.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stand on anything for Dave Wanstead. What I just said.
I will stand in that gosh darn storm and scream it into the frickin' wind and rain that I hated Wanstead more than any other coach. I'd rather have Cam Cameron with...
You would have Cam Cameron over Wanstead?
I would have Cam Cameron with Joe Philbin as his offensive coordinator.
Oh, my God. No, I completely disagree.
Over Dave Wanstead. What was Dave Wanstead's claim to fame? He got Ricky Williams and just watched him run?
That 2000... I thought the Dolphins were a sinking ship in 99, and then in 2000 he got a Lamar Smith, he got Brian Walker. He did a really good job. The Dolphins won 11 games that year. I mean, do you think any other Dolphins coach can brag from that point? Dave Wanstead has done more for this franchise than anybody in 20 years. Deal with it.
No.
So let's get to the grades.
Dude. No, because Tony Sperano started to turn the franchise around when he and the front office were at odds and he got kicked out the door.
Yeah.
Like, let's face it, like, they literally sat there going, crap, we wanted to fire this guy because I want to hire this jackass that's going to Michigan anyway, and I'm going to fly my plane out there. And then, crap, he's still winning. We can't fire him on a 3-game win. We can't fire him on a 4-game winning streak. Oh, he dropped the game. Get him out of here. Like, it was just ridiculous.
Yep.
Like, Wanstead was horrific. All the sideline screens. Like, I remember I went to a game up here in Foxborough, and we thought the game was over, and we thought we'd get cute and get to our car afterwards, right? And we're walking along the catwalk area where you can see the field, and I looked at my dad and went, oh my God, don't do it, on like 4th down, I think it was. And he ran this horrific, stupid sideline screen, and it got stuffed, and they had a 2-point lead, I think it was. And excuse me, this is 20 years ago now. And they turned the ball over to the Patriots and lost the game on the stupidest of play calls that I could see 200 yards away walking along a catwalk at a glance and go, oh no.
Gotcha.
Like, I've never been able to literally look down at the field at a glance and go, please don't run that play. We all know you're running that play. And I didn't even study film at that point. Like, it was literally just watching the games casually. I knew what play they were calling on almost every play. And yeah, half of them were hand the ball to Ricky, but Wanstead's got to go.
Well, Ricky was a great player until he quit.
Until he got his wheels run off so bad that he had to smoke weed to feel better.
We'll agree to disagree on that comment.
Like I said, speaking of the Raiders.
so let's get to the grades here, Paul. Quarterback. Jacoby Brissett.
I'm giving him a B+. Like you said with the deep throws. He was hitting the target today, whether it got caught or not. He did a beautiful job of hitting pressure. He got some first downs with his legs. I'll give him a B+.
So the question is, and even to take a step back. So here's my question is,
we're scrapping tonight, Kat. We're scrapping tonight.
Is it Jacoby Brissett's fault?
No.
Then why did we sign this guy then? If he's not, if he's such a great veteran leader, he can't make the decision to throw the ball downfield. I mean, no, I'm sorry.
He was handcuffed with.
He had 78 yards passing at the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but then when they actually let him throw the ball,
who? One of the three offensive coordinators?
Right. One of them probably cold-cocked the other and started calling actual plays into the headset. Like, they probably threw somebody on the coach bus so that they could call real NFL plays, not that BS we called for 3 quarters.
Paul's going with a.
I'm going to go with a B. Actually, I'll lower it one little point for you.
All right, I'm gonna go with a D+. Given that.
Oh, okay.
B, D+. Okay, yeah, not good enough. I'd rather see Reed Sinnett if Jacoby Brissett is going to come out next week against the Colts in his revenge game and dump off passes for 3 yards every time.
Or -2.
Running back. Look, yeah, I think you nailed it. Is Dolphins had, when's the last time we could say that they had almost 5 yards of carry at the running back position? Not very often. What I hated was Malcolm Brown getting snaps in the Wildcat for some stupid reason, to try to make sense of that. But that is not his fault. That is 3 men and the little baby of the offensive coordinator position for the Dolphins. That's their problem. But 20 carries for 96 yards from Myles Gaskin and Malcolm Brown, good for them in this game. And I think that they should continue to stick with the running game, get this offensive line a little confidence, run downhill a little bit more in the upcoming weeks so that we can start to have some continuity on this offensive line. So I'm going to go with a B for the running backs.
I will concur with you on the running back position. I feel like I feel like a broken record. We're saying it every week. Like, use your running backs more. Lean on the running game. And, oh, yeah, you've got a 14-point lead and your running backs are averaging 5 yards a carry. I wonder what you should do with it. Can't one of these three idiots look at the others and go, yo, running is working and we've got a 14-point lead. Let's milk this clock.
There's too much finger pointing, I think, going on. Nobody wants to get fired. I mean, and somebody will get promoted. Charlie Fryer will get promoted probably after the season, after another offensive coordinator or offensive line coach gets fired. Wide receiver and tight end. I'm going to throw it to you first on that.
I've never been so underwhelmed with a 12-catch day as I was with Jalen Waddle's 12-catch day. Mike Gesicki had a great game. Devontae Parker was hit or miss. Will Fuller should have ended up with 4 catches for 80 yards. Instead, he's got 3 for 20. Durham Smythe did a great job of blocking Jacoby Brissett from getting a first down that really could have helped Miami seal things late in the game. It pissed me off to no end because then they went for it on 4th down and didn't get it. I'm going with a C from the wide receiver position. They left a lot on that field today.
I'm going to match you there with the C. I mean, I do give Waddle credit for catching 12 of 13 passes. I mean, and a lot of them were off target, and it's not his fault. I mean, for what happened here today. And I'm looking forward to see what Will Fuller does here throughout the rest of the season.
Oh, one positive for the wide receivers today. Preston Williams was inactive.
And so was Albert Wilson. Wilson. Man. God, so glad we waited for Albert Wilson for
2 years for 2 games.
Yeah. He is robbing the Dolphins blind. It's embarrassing at this point.
Just give me his contract. I'll play less games than he does.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Kadarius Toney catching passes. Offensive line. Austin Jackson. I will say he did. It was his best game of the year. He also got shoved back to the quarterback.
He got sacked with Brissett. He got sacked with Brissett and took Malcolm Brown with him.
He did. And I'll be honest with you too. The rest of the offensive line, I felt that they got a lot of confidence when blocking downhill, but and it's hard to judge too because Jacoby Brissett is somebody that likes to climb the pocket, find avenues, and if he could just throw the ball longer, it would be different, But overall, offensive line, I'm going to go with the C+.
I'm going to go with a B- for the O-line. They really opened up some running lanes today. Some of the pass protection was a great job by Brissett. Really having a good feel for that pocket at times. But overall, 4 out of 5 ain't bad, and then the other one's Trash Can Jackson. I can go with a B minus for this O line today. I think they're starting to pull it together a little bit.
I hope so. On the defensive side of the ball, front seven, not good enough, not enough pressure. Christian Wilkins early in the game really dug through and got that just bone jarring sack on Derek Carr. Good for him on that. And then we didn't see him the rest of the game. Zach Sealer, solid game throughout. Emmanuel Ogbah got around the edge, but not enough to make an impact in the second half. And Jalen Phillips has to pick it up. Linebacker, Jerome Baker, he was picked apart by Derek Carr today. No doubt about it. I mean, he was moved off his spot. He was picked apart. Andrew Van Ginkel, not a big game from him. And he had a huge game last year against the Raiders in that Week 16 Sunday night game. Did not see that same thing today. Given that the Raiders were able to control the tempo up front on the offensive line and control the Dolphins defensive line, I've got to go with a C minus for them.
Christian Wilkins and well, I'm not. Wait, are we doing D line or front seven? Because you brought Jerome Baker.
Front seven.
Okay. Jerome Baker, it doesn't feel like it's his fault. The scheme for him today just basically takes him all over the place out of his game and out of his strengths. And for this defensive staff to have utilized Baker so well last year and to misuse him and abuse him, I can't give them I can't give them a C minus. No, I can't.
Bring the hate.
I can bring the hate, and I've got some spots for it. But the game that Wilkins and Sealer had was not bad at all. They played well. The game that Landon Roberts got a pick six. I can't go below a C when your front seven scores points, unless it's really truly atrocious. The run stuffing was not great today. But again, you're taking one of your best tacklers and putting him over by the sideline covering Kenyon Drake. He's one of your best tacklers and one of your best blitzers, and you've got him against the sideline covering Kenyon Drake. But it's literally the conversation tonight should be between Brian Flores and the defensive staff and go, dude, you had Jerome Baker on the sideline covering Kenyon Drake while they're gashing us up the middle in between our two effective linemen. What do you have to say for yourself? And the only answer that he should accept is my bad. And that's not on Baker for that.
And also Landon Roberts, had a pick six, and that needs to be factored in.
Yeah, so I'll go with a C plus for the front seven. There were some moments that really should have been better, but again, the game Sealer had, the pick six by Roberts, the fact it wasn't on Baker that he was off his spot at all and not in position to affect the running game unless it was a really wide sweep in his direction. And the fact that Ogbah was putting pressure on even if he couldn't quite get the pay dirt against a gimpy Alex Leatherwood, really, that's really. But that said, I can't hate on it. I didn't like that Andrew Van Ginkel disappeared. The game we already talked about from Jalen Phillips. And, God, Sam McGlavin, where is he?
Yeah. He should have been on the field more. No doubt about that. Defensive back, Derek Carr had 386 yards passing today. You can't blame all of that on the secondary. It's hard to blame a lot of it on the secondary. Darren Waller, Brian Edwards, Henry Ruggs, Hunter Renfrow all had over 50 receiving yards in this game. I don't think Nick Needham had a good game. I don't think Justin Coleman had a good game. Xavier Howard didn't really have a good game either, but it wasn't terrible. And he tends to be a little bit more hit and miss than other elite cornerbacks in the game. Byron Jones, I thought, had a fantastic game. It was hard. it's hard to blame him for anything that went on here. But the biggest problem here was that, in overtime at the end of the fifth quarter here, Brandon Jones letting up that big catch to Brian Edwards, because that's really what ended up making the difference in the game. So, even with 386 yards, I'm going to go with a B-.
Yeah, it was very hit or miss across the secondary today, and again, the fact that they needed to use their secondary to cause pressure at times was a big thing here. They did limit Darren Waller today. Darren Waller did not gash us and was not responsible for the win for the Raiders. And they let up, 2 touchdowns, I think it was?
Yep.
And really one of those is probably on the front 7. So I can go with a B- for these guys as well.
Special teams, Jason Sanders missed a field goal. He also hit a 50-yarder that brought the Dolphins to 28-28. Matt Pilardi had 2 really good punts. Return unit, not anything to note really. So I'm going to go with a B.
Yeah, I'll go with a B as well. I mean, the return game was okay. Pilardi was okay. And Sanders missed a field goal. Okay. I'm going to go with a B- here. The missed field goal, if made, would have been pretty damn critical in this one. It basically would have taken us to the win. So I'll go with a B- here, and yeah.
And I think it should be pointed out too that Justin Herbert beat the Chiefs today.
I think it should be pointed out too that Micah Parsons sure seems to get a lot of pass rush and can play a demon at linebacker so far for the Cowboys. He's really turning into their jack of all on that defense.
So what you're saying is that the Dolphins should have stayed at 12 and kept those 2 first-round picks and taken Micah Parsons.
Did I say that? or did my mental ESP stutter?
No, I would have. At the time, I 100% agreed with you, and I still do.
Yeah.
But I still like Jalen Waddle. I thought he had a good game, and it's not his fault. 12 out of 13 passes he caught. He's a fast guy. He needs to get in space.
Having Jalen Waddle for this offensive coordinator staff, we'll go with, because it's not even offensive coordinator, is like handing somebody without a license keys to a Bugatti and say, have fun. Like,
what's a Bugatti?
It's a really, really expensive, nice car that goes really fast and some fun things in. But if you don't know how to drive and don't have a license, you're screwed.
Well, I drive a 2014 Nissan Altima. So
now who's bragging?
So next week, Paul, Dolphins play the Colts, the 0-3 Colts in Miami. That's a must-win game because the week after that, they play the Bucs in Tampa. If you don't win next week, I mean, you're talking about a 1-4 start, and things start to really get ugly.
Kind of like what the Bucs went through today.
Yeah. I mean, but the Bucs are a better team than Dolphins, easily. Yeah. It's not even close.
Yeah.
I would say so.
We've got a good roster. We just the coaching right now is pissing me off to no end, and I know that's for you too. But let's do something fun. Let's do a fun game. Coke Bus player, Cat.
Let's do it. Coke Bus player of the game. I'm going to throw it to you first on that.
Yes, Trash Can Man. Get on that bus. Getting walked back in a critical moment of that game through something that wasn't play calling. The only thing that you could put on the coaching staff for that was leaving him on the field this week. Trash Can Jackson, get on that bus.
I'm going to go with Jerome Baker because in addition to everything we've talked about, he wasn't good enough. He was not good enough. If you make $10 million a year, you can't play the way that he did today.
Dude,
he's got to be.
They might as well put him on the offensive line with how badly they scheme.
You have to. If you're a middle, you have to have an impact in the passing game, or you have to be able to put your nose in on rundowns.
What's the first word in his position, Kat?
What?
What's the first word in his position title? Middle. Middle. Every time I look, he's by the sideline where he's being aligned by his coordinators. He's a middle linebacker.
I think you're over-exaggerating that claim.
No, I
100%. I think
split wide.
Yeah, he was in the middle today, and he was exploited many times. Many times. Baker needs to get better. And if you're talking about $10 million a year, he needs to get better. Period.
He needs to be used better.
My player of the game. I'm going to go with Mike Kasich here. 10 catches, 86 yards, and I thought he should have had the play of the game when he had that catch on 4th and 20, 27 yards. And he's somebody that I look forward to seeing a lot more big catches down the line.
I do as well. I would have taken Kasich, but actually I'm going to go a different route. And I thought about going Byron Jones, but I'm going to give it to big Sully Sealer up front because he really had a solid game in a unit that was schemed poorly. I will give it to Sealer and not even hesitate, even with the game Byron Jones had, even with the fact that they actually put Waller in position to look like a normal tight end today. Zach Sealer, welcome to my player of the game list. I think it's your first time.
And it's well-deserved, too. And that's going to do it for our breakdown of the Raiders-Dolphins game. Dolphins lose in overtime 31-28. Damn shame. 31-28 to the Raiders. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all of our social media outlets, the FinFanatic.com website, the Fansided Network. I'm Brian Cat NFL on Twitter. Paul is Fanatic_pick. And if it's not on the right side and it's not on the